today we have a really specific question, but it's come up recently. So I invited my husband Matt here to help me talk about it. Okay, so we're coming up on 10 years of marriage.
Yeah.
So hopefully we have some perspective on this question, right? Of what should I do to prepare for marriage if I'm still single?
Yeah, I mean, we're still newlyweds, so.
Yeah, right. So, just a few days ago, what were you doing to prepare? So we met when you were 21.
Yeah.
And at that point, what were you doing? Well, did you want to get married?
Yeah, I want to get married. And basically, if I had any idea of a relationship, it was, hey, are you ready to get married?
Right.
Let's not date if not.
Yeah.
And then, what I was doing, I was working, like when we met specifically. Pat Tulu was a car porter. I had basically a full-time internship at a church. It was like 20 to 30 hours a week. And then, basically what my life was at that time.
And at that point, what would you said you needed to have in order to get married?
I guess it would be, and this was because of just a bunch of random things, but like $50,000 salary, yearly salary, and then it would be, what was it?
Steady job.
Steady. Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, those two go together, but yeah.
Having a church, because being a pastor, specifically. Yeah. And then the other one was having a house.
Right.
Yeah. So it's $50,000 a house and a church that I'm pastoring. Yeah.
Right.
Then I can get married.
Right. Right. And we had just started talking, and I was at a time in life where I was also looking to get married, but not wanting to wait
for
however long it would take
accomplish that goal. Never.
To do those things. So, what would you say changed that requirement for you?
Basically, it would that a godly woman is the strength of a man, essentially, and so in the pursuing of you as someone to marry, that would raise me up to a higher calling in some ways, right? And so, like, to wait till I have everything in a row to get married, essentially wasn't healthy, is what I was told, right? So.
And then we did it, and we went through a lot of trials
and
struggles.
Of garbage.
Right. So, in retrospect, would having those things have helped you get through this?
Probably would have been worse. It would have covered up all the other stuff that was to be dealt with and took years.
Right, because that first year, we both were jobless, unexpectedly, but so we had to get through that together.
Yeah.
We were nomadic for a while, so not quite homeless, but almost.
Yeah, like once we went to the Middle East.
Yeah. I mean, for a good chunk, because it was Thailand and everything.
Oh, true.
That was like.
We had 2 stages of nomadic movements.
And that one was just living out of suitcases.
That was crazy.
Right. So I think probably all those criteria that you had, God probably would have taken away from us.
To teach us the lesson anyways.
In order for us to get through the lessons that we needed. Because we definitely went without all those things to grow. So, okay, so what advice would you give someone? I mean, they're single, they're not even in a relationship. Would you be saying to them, like, hey, don't plan for marriage, don't count on getting married, or would you be telling them to do something?
I would say that you need to plan for marriage, and also having a vision of what it's going to look like, which is what we discussed really recently together too. Because if it's just marriage is the end step, right. What ends up happening is it perverts marriage into like the end all be all, and really it's just a next movement into glory, right? From one glory to another, and then.
It's a way for God to mature us.
Yeah, right. So. Like it actually begins a new process of growing up or sanctification.
So what does preparation for that? We're looking at like as a season and another way to mature. How do you prepare for that? Okay, just wait a second, all right? We're almost done.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare to enter into that kind of maturity with somebody else?
basically to know what you're inviting someone into.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But specifically, like, what is it going to look like? Like, what will married life be? You know, and not just like, I'm inviting you to marriage, and then we're gonna figure it out. But, like, have some circle, like, what's service gonna look like? How are you serving the person now, and what's service gonna look like after, right? To your actual partner. And then it would be, how are you together gonna be serving?
Yeah, instead of just I need you to complete me, and then
yeah.
Right.
I need you. For most single Christian guys, it's like, oh yeah, Paul, I burn with passion. I need to get married.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold on, I'm still having issues. What's happening here?
Right. Yeah, and I think, in retrospect, the problem with the idea of I need a job, or I need a house, or I need a whatever in order to get married, is that it's all about those things for an end goal.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I need this job so that I can get married, so that I can be served.
Right. Yeah.
And marriage is like the complete opposite of that.
Yeah. You're essentially, it makes it all focused on how it serves you, right? Yeah.
And what you're gonna do, what you're gonna manipulate in order to get the thing that you want. Right. In order to be qualified for a position or in order.
Yeah. And then it basically adds up to a lot more disappointment in your spouse and stuff like that, and then they don't meet that, or
because they're not matching your qualifications.
Yeah, or your expectations are unmet. And whenever you have bad expectations and they're unmet, you still have the being frustrated of having an unmet expectation, right? Because even if it's a good expectation and it isn't met, it's always like that always results in some sort of
and then it's like, hey, I've got the job, I've got the house, how come you're not completing me now? Right. Yeah. So in light of that, I think my recommendation, whether you're single male or single female, is to find where you can serve, or even to approach the situations that you're in as opportunities to serve, right? So the church that you're in, don't look at it as a field or a pool to find your spouse. Look at it as a place where you can serve. What do they need? How can you use your strengths to fill that need? Your work, don't look at this as this is my step to becoming a provider. Look at this as what's their need and how can I serve?
Which that's going to actually grow you in the experience to essentially be someone who actually has someone else working for them too, right? Because you're going to actually learn more, you're going to make more observations. Hold on, baby girl. And that's going to help you actually grow up more, not only just character, but actually the ability to grow your capacity for service and ownership and maturity.
And that's maturity, right? And so if marriage is maturity, it's a way of growing and maturing, then what you need to be doing now should reflect that growth. Yeah, and I think that what you'll find in marriage too, right, is it's all about serving. Who is this person? What do they need? How can I serve them? Yeah. Whether you're the wife or the husband. So I think those are some really practical ways that you can start preparing without, starting up a home and trying to furnish it for some invisible imaginary person, right? I know people that have done that. Like, they've had rooms full of baby clothes and stuff before they even have a husband. And so it's like, how do you practically prepare yourself without, living in an imaginary, without being on the trip. I was explaining this to somebody. It's like when you're planning for a trip, you're not on the trip. You're not spending the funds that you've allotted for your trip. Yeah. You're not daydreaming about being on the trip, because you actually have things that you've got to do right now, right? And so what are the things that you can do right now as a single to prepare for marriage? And I think even when you meet a prospective spouse, and so this is where I really struggled, it was like sort of scanning them to see do you meet my criteria, right? Oh, you're Christian, okay, check.
Oh, but you're younger.
Right.
Thing.
Well, what's your theology? Oh, okay. Are you going to be able to lead me in spiritual things? And once I flipped that to say, okay, first of all, this is a brother in Christ, right? How can I serve them? How can I love them as a sister in the Lord and not be thinking, are you a potential spouse?
Right.
And that sets up certain boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is helpful.
Because like we were talking to one of our friends that's a single, and it's like actually when you've already in your head made them the one that you want to marry, you haven't had interaction with them, you haven't actually actively served them, had any sort of meaningful conversations, but it's just like, oh, I like this person and it'd be cool if we can get married, is you set them up in a trap. And in your mind, you've already made them that.
Yeah.
And if they don't meet that, you kind of like cut them off and you become awkward if it doesn't work out. And there was no reason because there wasn't any like actual bond in that way. And so you actually can like self-destruct relationships that could just be a brother and a sister in Christ, right?
Right.
Because you were unable to start with that mindset.
Just like you set up your job a certain way, you set up your house a certain way, for it to all play to your.
I'm doing what you say so I can get what I'm owed, right? Instead of I'm serving you because you've trusted me enough to take this role, right? And regardless of how they treat you.
And that's actually how you get more authority, more responsibility. Yeah, and I think that was probably the difference in the way we met was that you didn't think that I'd be interested in you.
No, I didn't.
And so you were just
the whole time we're talking, I'm like, she's.
But you were providing counseling, helping me work through scriptures and things, and I was viewing you as a friend first, and not as a spouse.
Yeah, but I'm thankful that jump happened.
You're right. Which we can talk about in another episode, right? So hopefully that was encouraging and gives you some, like, a practical step that you can take. Is serve and figure out what would a marriage with you look like, and what could
put any questions in the comments below.
Yes, we would like that, because if this goes off well, then
we'll just keep talking.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Oh, what were you going to say?
Nothing. Bye.
All right, bye.